Welcome to Scorched Earth and the general reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of April 2023. I hope you are well. I'm using the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot for you today. Quite how we're going to top last month's reading, I have absolutely no idea, but I shall give it a go. Bit of housekeeping before we begin. If the reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, there is an extended that you can access at the end. That is the first link in the description box. Second link in the description box is to the 6-month overviews that I've done for each of the signs. They run obviously January to June 2023. And we're halfway through that period now, so I have knocked the prices down accordingly. If you haven't had a chance to check them out and you would like to, please do feel free to follow that link. The third link is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on Circle. You get access to all the extended content for no extra cost. Plus there's an absolutely smashing group of people over there, so if that floats your boat, you know what to do. Right, Pisces, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. Could I have 3 cards for Pisces, please? Right, so we have the Two of Swords in your recent past. Current energy for Pisces is 10 of Pentacles. That's pretty sterling. And what's going towards Pisces, please, for April? Oh, goodness. All the way down there. We have the Four of Swords. Okay. This is interesting because, obviously, I'll flip it around so you can see. We've no major arcana, save that at the bottom of the deck, which is the Devil, followed by the Fool. I think this is a month where things, on the surface, everything looks very calm, but there are ripples in the force, Pisces. I think that's probably the best way to put it. There's stuff aligning, there's stuff kind of clunking into position. This Devil will certainly look into and see why he's here. But for the most part, it seems like everything's just kind of trucking along nicely, and I think that's not a bad thing, really. We do with a month off from drama, right? Let me give these a proper do-over. I've been absolutely slammed with personal readings this week, so this deck has been battered this week. Right. Let's have a look. Tell me why the Two of Swords is here for Pisces, please. We have the Queen of Cups. And we have the Sun. Beautiful. It's Leo energy and Cancer energy respectively. Tell me about 10 of Pentacles. We have the Two of Pentacles. And we have the Six of Wands, so you have some double Leo energy going on right now. It's been a while, actually, I think, since Leo energy showed up in your reading. There was a period for about 2 years where it was just non-stop. Every single reading there was Leo splattered all over it somewhere. Tell me about the Four of Swords, please. Thank you. We have the Devil again. Okay. Oof. And we have the Three of Pentacles. Okay. We have the Two of Wands at the bottom of the deck, and I can't help but feel that this Two of Wands is in some way related to the Devil energy that we see, but we'll get into it. So, the Two of Swords in your recent past. Often I call this a card of willful ignorance, and it sounds a little bit blunt, a little bit brutal perhaps, but we're often talking about things that our subconscious won't allow us to see for whatever reason, right? So it becomes willful ignorance because actually the information is there, but for whatever reason our brains can't see it, our minds won't let us see it, and we kind of swerve around it. We've got the water here, we've got the moon in the background, and in the Waite Smith deck at least, we have a woman who is holding 2 swords, and it's like, nope, won't see it, won't look. She's actually got a blindfold on, she's got a back to all of this stuff going on. And there's a sense with that card that weak my jeans down a little bit. There's a sense with this card that often the solution is staring us in the face, but for whatever reason we can't see it. Now, sometimes it's because if we allowed our emotions or our intuition to get involved, we would realise that a decision has already been made. Some sort of understanding has already been reached and we're resisting that. The funny thing is with the Queen of Cups and the Sun, what I feel for you is that it's an end to a resistance. It's an end to choosing not to see things a particular way. Now, I don't think this is, you being obstreperous. In your dealings with people, it feels like coming to a place of acceptance. And given what we were talking about last month, spiritual warrior is what I believe I called Pisces reading then. For me, this is a sense of a conscious awareness and a conscious acceptance of that which you have not seen up until this point, which is your own personal power. And for whatever reason you've chosen not to see that, or your subconscious has chosen not to see that, I mean, it'll be different for each of you. For some of you, it will have been a fear of allowing yourself to feel that, perhaps a fear in knowing how to wield it. But whatever it is for you, this Two of Swords says that which was not seen is now beholden in all of its glory, right? There we see it out there, little boys, in all of its glory. There's an innocence to the Queen of Cups and the Sun card, but there's tremendous power in them both too. I mean, in some ways, the Sun is often taken for granted, but it's literally giving life to the planet, you know? But because I see it as a counterpoint to the Moon, oh goodness, and the Moon being our subconscious, our non-conscious, you know, the operations that we don't have a conscious awareness are going on. The Sun is kind of bringing all of this up to the surface. And the Queen of Cups says, I accept. You know, because as much as I called your reading spiritual warrior, you had a choice. Right? Maybe this is what the Two of Wands is talking about here. You actually had a choice because you could have chosen to allow the Two of Swords to continue operating. You could have chosen to ignore the power that you have. You could have chosen to, you know, refuse the mission, if you will. Free will is everything and all that. And I'm reminded of the fact that Mars has either just gone into or is just about to go into Cancer. And so it feels like not only is there movement now, you know, there are movements that you are willing to make that you probably stopped yourself from doing prior to this point because you were afraid of wielding the power, or you were, you know, you hadn't found something that you cared quite enough about to really apply yourself to it. But there's this visibility now, there's an authenticity. It's like, no, I'm here, whether you fucking like it or not, I'm here, and I'm Pisces, and you know, fucking listen to what I have to say. You know, it's a powering up, but it's always got that Piscean, a dreamy quality over the top, and it's like somebody trying to withstand mist, right? Like, no, you shall not pass, and the mist is like, yeah, whatever, and just carries on straight past, you know. It doesn't feel aggressive, it doesn't feel like a steamroller energy, you know. It's not Mars and Aries kind of energy. It's something much more subtle than that. It's a power expressed in the way that you actually innately know how to wield, to manifest, to hold, to do stuff with. And now everything feels a little bit brighter. There is more colour everywhere. It could be almost for a lot of you that your senses have been heightened considerably during this time. Now that might have been overwhelming for you, you know, at a point before now, but it seems like it's just making sense in a way that it didn't. And maybe it didn't because you were trying to resist feeling any more than you were already feeling, but no, it's like layers and levels of the world and of human experience are now opening up. And more than that, you know, you're kind of swimming around in this really quite comfortably, and you're watching everybody else go, oh God, the uncertainty, I can't pin anything down, and you're like, yeah, welcome to Pisces, welcome to Saturn in Pisces, you know. It's like you've taken a fish that's been struggling in an inch of water. I'm sorry to keep using the fish analogies, right? It really drives my Pisces daughter mad that it's the only thing that people ever equate it to, but I feel that the analogy fits. It's like taking a fish that's been struggling in an inch of water and, you know, trying to do its best, and then picking it up and letting it get into the sea. It's like, now we can move properly. Now we can do what we're supposed to do. You know, the reasons why everything seems so difficult now abundantly clear. And more than that, you are able to move past them. Oh, well, that's absolutely tremendous. Because we've got the Ten of Pentacles in your current energy. And it's a really solid, stable presentation. When I said this, that I feel there's a real sense of authenticity about you, and it's funny because I'm also equating you to mist, you know, having less form. There's something very empowering and something very stabilizing for you about the nature of the energy that everybody is experiencing at the moment. I don't really have any evidential basis for stating this, but I've always felt that Pisces and Scorpio occupy opposite ends of the spectrum, right? They are in some ways polarities, and I know that Virgo is opposite on the zodiac and stuff, but when it comes to the experience of emotion, I feel like Scorpio deals with the depth and the dark and the things that Scorpio do, and Pisces is very much concerned with the light. It's about the merging. It's about the the feeling of weightlessness. You know, a different form of power that most people haven't been exposed to, not in any kind of meaningful sense. I mean, there are transits that go through Pisces all of the time. I remember Mercury retrograde in Pisces a few years ago. My God, I just absolutely destroyed me. I felt like somebody had poured a bucket of water over me, and I couldn't cope. Speaking as a fire sign, that can be a little bit overwhelming. It can be a little bit much. But again, it's this uncertainty, this kind of ephemeral nature of the energy that we're in at the moment, right? It is where you are supposed to be. And so it represents a period of stability for you. It represents what you are built for, familiar territory almost. And we've got this Two of Pentacles with the Six of Wands, and there's a sense that while everybody else is struggling and going, damn, we need some Capricorn energy in here, we need some absolute certainty, we sort of fixed sign stuff in there so everybody knows what's going on. You're like, no, that's not what we want. It's not what we want at all. We're actually very, very comfortable in this. Thank you very much. Now, let me pull out another deck here, because I feel like this Ten of Pentacles is speaking to number of things, and I like to see what it is. So we've got the Three of Swords showing up in the reverse there, which makes a lot of sense. And we have, I think that was the Knight of Wands. Got the Knight of Wands as well, but the Knight of Wands is in reverse too, and we've got the Six of Pentacles. There's spontaneity and freedom and liberation associated with the Knight of Wands, right? And these are all really good qualities. But he also talks about a lack of commitment, right? And I feel like not only have you been healing yourself, but you've now kind of set up this AOE, as as people would talk about in gaming, right? This area of effect. So what you're kind of moving through, whether it's a group of people, whether you're hanging out with your friends, whether you're hanging out with your family, whatever, there's something so fucking calming and zen about your energy that it's healing people passively. Like, well, would we expect anything else from Pisces? Probably not, right? And I spoke, maybe it wasn't last month, it was the month before, about how you were beginning to school the rest of the zodiac, or at least getting ready to school the rest of the zodiac on how to navigate through this. I feel like Scorpio is stepping up to take care of the chaos, but Pisces is also stepping up to show everybody where the fucking light is, where the weightlessness is, how it is possible to move without without things anchored around your ankles. But this Knight of Wands is kind of removing the immediacy that feels, although it's a mutable energy and although it's moving around a lot, it's always got an intent. You know, the Knight of Wands only will ever go somewhere for a reason, right? And that reason might be, it just looks interesting, we're going to go and see it. But it starts off with that that point of focus. That's what the Knight of Wands has. He has a point of focus, and he goes, I'm going to go over there, and then he does that thing, he goes over there. It's almost like everybody else is struggling to focus. I mean, some people might be finding it really, really difficult to focus on their own pain because the healing is happening passively, and it's like having an ADHD brain, right? And you try and focus on something, and it's just fucking sliding around, and your brain's sliding around inside your head like a fucking deer on ice, right? I speak from experience. It's just like, no, it's not happening. This is Pisces energy, and it's just kind of rolling through like waves. And no matter how much people are trying to focus, right? You know, the Knight of Wands can be kind of obsessed until he's not. You know, that's that Sagittarian energy, right? I'm absolutely all in. Right, I'm bored now, I'm going to go somewhere else, right? It's changing the dynamic of people's self-perception. I think that's the way that I would put it. And this is you, Pisces. This is you who is doing this to people. I sound like I'm scolding you. I'm absolutely not. I'm actually sitting in awe at the idea that a person could do this without even trying, just walking through a room. It's like it makes everything fuzzy. It makes everything slip around. You know, I've often said one of the best things that ever happened to me was getting my brain injury. Right? It took me a while to see that, but one of the very definite benefits was the way that I lost my ability to absolutely obsess over the detail. I just could not focus for long enough to do it. Everything became very foggy. Everything became very difficult to focus on. Everything became very Piscean for a while. And I had no choice but to just kind of sink or swim. Right? No, there was no swimming actually. I was just kind of, occasionally I'd manage to bob around and take a breath, and then I'd be back down in it, you know. In the truest sense, what's happening here is a breaking down of the things that need it. I think one of the biggest issues that people have with healing is getting to a point where they can truly let something go. I remember, you know, I remember this had been around forever, right? And I remember people saying, "Oh, just let it go." I was like, "Fuck you! How could you possibly say that to me when I've got this or this or this or an entire lifetime of this?" And it was because I didn't understand the profundity of that statement. It seemed so simplistic that I felt it showed an absolute lack of awareness on the person who had said it. Right? Now, I understand, now that some time has passed, that was my own projections, you know, and I was covering for the fact that I didn't have a fucking clue how to let things go. The brain injury definitely accelerated the process because it was so hard to focus on anything, so hard to focus in any kind of direction at all, that something else kind of took over. Right? I'm a Capricorn ascendant. I have a Grand Fixed Cross in my natal chart, right? I am used to absolutely obsessing about things because that's how I get stuff done. I work myself really fucking hard to get things done. But also, if there's something that's ragging at me, some sort of trauma, some sort of slight, some sort of humiliating action, then I correspondingly cannot let that go either. And this thing that you have here, Pisces, to be the rock in the middle of the ocean. Like, you're the ocean as well, but you're the rock in the middle of the ocean, where people who are kind of flailing around and going, I can't see land, I don't know where my fucking ship went, holy crap. You're like, come sit on my rock, it's all cool. Yeah, just take a breath, everything's fine. It's the Ten of Pentacles. You know your way through this energy. Like I said, this is your home turf, this is your home territory. Everybody else is going, what the fuck is going on here? But bring it back to the point that I was making originally, and that is, you're breaking down people's ability to be able to fixate and focus and obsess over the things that have hurt them. That's where the healing steps in. Right? You bring in the healing too, but in the first instance you have to stop people from sabotaging themselves. Sagittarius energy at points can be all about self-sabotage. And this is a pretty fucking magical thing that you've got going on right now, Pisces. It truly is. Again, passive, silent, not signposted in any way. It's just a, hey, welcome. It's like, it's a stupid example, right? But it's like when I sometimes play Minecraft with my kids, right? And I pop into the world, in the Minecraft world, and I'm like, holy fuck, I've got to do right a WASD with the keys, and I'll move the mouse around, and I'll do fucking things, and I'll try not to fall into ravines and die, because I do that quite often. You know, and here I am, this intelligent, capable woman, and I'm kind of like, on the Minecraft. And then my kids run up, right? And I'm like 10-year-olds, and they're bouncing around, and they're doing incredible, magical things. And I'm kind of looking at them, I'm like, how have they got this level of proficiency here at this thing? I don't know how to do it. You know, and they're fucking bouncing around, and I try and do the same thing, and I fall off a fucking cliff, and you know, get shot by a skeleton and all that sort of stuff. It's that similar sort of awe and wonder that I've got toward you in the way that you're doing things at the moment, like Capricorn ascendant. It doesn't compute, doesn't make sense. Well, it does make sense. I do understand it. But by the same token, it's not a natural skill that I have. And so I'm going to sit here and be impressed, because I love watching people do what they're really, really good at, and that's what you're doing right now, Pisces. Now, when we come to what's coming towards you in April, we've got the Four of Swords, which is very nice. We also have the Devil and the Three of Pentacles. We've got the Devil at the bottom of the deck here, but he is truly just standing in the way of the Fool at the moment. He's just kind of covering up the Fool. Now, as we know, the Fool is associated with new starts. He can sometimes talk about, you know, taking a leap off into the void and all that kind of thing. We talk about leaps of faith and all that sort of stuff. And being as you are a sign that rules faith, we could see this being entirely appropriate. It talks about trust. But it does talk about there being something that is kind of standing in the way of the innocent exploration of a new cycle. Now, what I'm not entirely sure about as I'm looking at these cards, Pisces, is whether this Devil belongs to you, or is, you know, something that you will face, or whether this belongs to other people around you. Because what we do have at the top here is the Four of Swords. Now, again, it follows on from the Three of Swords. We're back to this idea of this kind of passive healing ability that you have at the moment, and how people just walking through your AoE are kind of getting the result of that inability to focus, right? We've got a peace and harmony that comes from stepping back from the primacy of the mind. It's letting the heart take over. It's letting the love take over. It's letting the good shit take over. So I think that our minds are potentially our greatest gift and our worst fucking curse at the same time. We've got this Devil and the Three of Pentacles. Now, one way of looking at this is that there is someone in your environment that will likely be very toxic, who also in a way, deals with the breaking down of boundaries, right? Somewhat a weaver of illusions, who is kind of zoning in on you, honing in on you, homing, there you go, that's the word I'm looking for, homing in on you, because they're attracted by the kind of energy that you're giving off at the moment, in which case this would make somebody who was kind of looking to come and feed on you in some sort of way, right? We can see that being a thing, and this might be someone that you've entered into some sort of arrangement with, whether that is some sort of business contract, whether it's a work colleague, whether it's even a family member or something like that. There's something very dingy and very toxic about this energy, and because you are shining so brightly, it feels like they're making a bit of a beeline for you. They're not going to get anywhere with it. I don't believe that for a second. But nevertheless, it could be that there's a little bit of disappointment being lined up for you here, in the recognition and the realization that this person is not what you thought they were. You know, they've kind of shown their shitty side, and it's there for everyone to see. The other way of looking at this, and let me pull some cards out before I say any more. We had the Queen of Swords come out in the reverse. Tell me about the Devil. And the Ten of Wands. The Ace of Wands. This feels like it's some sort of minor setback, a minor hiccup. Now I know that that's quite a disparaging thing to say about the Devil. I mean, he's a big old fucking card there, but it is, and I do feel like I feel like it's very closely associated with a disappointment for you, Pisces. And more than that, it's not to do with, you know, the level of work that you have to do. We see that here with the Ten of Wands. You know, it's more like an awareness of how somebody else is struggling. Now, you kind of pick this sort of shit up psychically anyway about people, but realizing just how cold and mean some people can be. Now, this all sounds a little bit grim, and I don't think it has to be, but I just want you to be aware, like, you know, Saturn is now moving in Pisces, and this doesn't mean that it's all going to be plain sailing for you or plain swimming. You know, there's going to be stuff, and particularly in these early degrees of movement, that are a little bit shocking, and it feels like somebody is revealing a side of them to you that perhaps you hadn't noticed before. That would seem unlikely, or perhaps you'd noticed and made excuses for. That would seem like it would be more likely. Perhaps it's to do with codependence, like realizing just how hard somebody is trying to put their claws into you to keep you still, keep you there, so that they can work with you and nobody else. You know, and I said work with you, I'm talking about a kind of energetic slurping that they're wanting to do on your energy here. And it feels like the disappointment isn't that they've tried to do that. Well, is that they've tried to do that. The disappointment isn't that they succeed, because they won't. Like, again, it's like trying to hold on to mist. It's not going to happen. But it's the fact that they tried. That's what this is here. It's almost like a full revealing of somebody's intentions to you this month. And it's cold. It's really, really cold. Pull out this card here. We've got the Temperance card, and we've got the Five of Cups. I mean, maybe it is actually through love and compassion that you've seen that this is a troubled person, and you've actually tried to help them quite a bit, right? There's that temperance energy that we're talking about. You know, I will help you. I'll help you get through this. I'll help you try and move beyond it. But I feel like there's an agenda that becomes obvious to you this month. And the disappointment is the realization that not only were they working to their own personal agenda rather than being straight up with you, rather than being open to the possibility of healing and enjoying your energy in the same way that you're enjoying it. but that there's fuck all that you can do about it. Like, that feels really sad. Well, you know, it's always that saying in Pisces, you know, that with great power comes great responsibility. But what that doesn't mean, and you feel to me to be feeling very powerful at the moment, what that doesn't mean is that you bear responsibility for everyone. Sometimes the responsibility is in recognising that something is, frankly, way above your fucking pay grade as a soul living this particular existence, and that there is nothing here for you but take, if you allow yourself to stay in this situation. And the Four of Swords and the Queen of Cups actually, and the Temperance card together are saying, you know, powerful as you are, you can't save everyone. You shouldn't try and save everyone. And I feel like there's some real disappointment here. Real disappointment. Now, somebody's maybe shown up and said all of the right things, appear to be behaving in the right way, and then all of a sudden their agenda becomes revealed and you're like, well, fuck, what's this? You know? Doing the responsible thing and being like, I'm not going to allow you to chew on my energy for any longer. I'm not going to allow you to stick a straw in my aura and suck out what you need. You know, I'm not here for that. Because the good news is that, like I said, you're in the ocean now. Like you're swimming in your natural environment. You can leave, you and go, but you have to allow yourself to do that. Now, the good news about this is that it does seem to be opening up some sort of new opportunity for you. We've got the Ace of Wands and we've got the Fool card here. Now, whether that is in the act of this person revealing their agenda, whether it's codependence or whether it's jealousy or whether it's, you know, just wanting to keep you all to themselves, that kind of stuff, like trying to put boundaries around Pisces that have no business in being there, right? Your boundaries are one thing, but other people kind of, it feels more like a trying to wall you in sort of thing, separate you from stuff. So whether it is, you know, the recognition of the agenda, whether it is the person overplaying their hand and revealing this to not just you, but then also other people around you, there seems to be something about the way that you deal with this situation that brings attention to you, which is actually the very thing that the devil was trying to stop happening at this point. So although we have something ending here, we have a sense of completion, we also have a corresponding ace, and behind the devil we have the Fool. Like, it's a disappointing situation to have to go through, and you will have to navigate the feelings that you have about that by yourself, but there's something really bright and shiny that's sitting on the other side of this experience here for you. Like I said, it will have its expression in different ways for all of you, but be aware. I don't want to pull you down. I absolutely don't want to pull you down, because you're doing magnificent things out there in the world, of doing very, very necessary things. But I would be very mindful of the lessons that you have learned over the last couple of years with regard to your own personal boundaries and the preservation of self over everything, you know, because there was far too much giving before. If your intuition starts to dance around a little bit and you're like, what the fuck, what's going on here? Pay attention to it. But I feel like this situation is going to play out whatever. I don't feel like you have an opportunity to circumvent it, because you seem to need to go through the devil in order to get to the new stuff. Now, if it's one thing that I'm aware of with Pisces, and I see this a lot, is that you are absolutely positively allergic to any kind of emotional manipulation. Like, you don't fucking like it at all. And I would say, quite honestly, Pisces, because you know that it works on you. Right? You can recognise it happening, but it can be very difficult for you to move out of it unless you are practicing a good sense of self and good boundaries. You know, getting very comfortable with no. Somebody wrote an email to me the other day and said that they discovered the value of the gift of no and boundaries, and it's huge. You know, the devil might well represent what is a fear for you, which is of being manipulated, being taken advantage of, because you know that it's very, very difficult for you to get out of that. You know, you'd rather swerve that situation altogether, but it feels like it's meeting you head on this month. So in the conquering of whatever challenge the devil presents to you, there are benefits at the other side. Something is changing, something new is arriving for you. It's almost like the benefits are almost instantaneous. So keep doing what you're doing. Practice the sense of self, practice the boundaries where they need to be. And don't allow yourself to get dragged down too hard by people whose vibe, frankly, is just not matching yours. Right? Not at all. This is very interesting. Right, I'm going to go over to Vimeo now, so if you would like to join me over there, you are very, very welcome. Or you can come over to Circle, whatever you like. But if that doesn't appeal to you, know that this situation here, whatever it is no reflection on the power that you feel right now and the way that you are expressing itself. More it is about revelation of those around you who are not worthy, frankly, of being in your presence. That would be the way that I would look at it. But other people are watching too, and you will absolutely score a massive benefit in the very classy and elegant way that you deal with this. It doesn't mean that it won't have, you know, an amount of disappointment with it, but it does mean that you'll be able to get over this hump really quite quickly. All right, Pisces, like I said, I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.